Greetings, Rahubat. My name is Miriam Ma'at Rehat. Today is January the 15th, 2017, and I'm coming to you from a personal to explain some things that have happened to me as a Nuwaubian and as a person who lived on Tamaray, which was 404 Shady Dale Road from 1998 all the way up until 2002 when we had the raid. I will, in increments, because it is vast, it's a lot, I will begin to show you how it has affected me and my family personally and how it relates to Mr. York. I do want to mention thank you to our attorney who has represented us very well, Miss Attorney Victoria Broussard of the United Nuwaubian Nation worldwide. I just wanted to give a personal thank you to her for putting our case out in the forefront. There is a medical information that will be put out against about Mr. York, and he does have hereditary angioedema, and this is what it looks like. His throat swells, and he has hives. This is according to his wife and some of the things that he has given to his doctor as proof to show that he actually has hereditary angioedema. And that can be gone over by his professional doctor. I do want to also show you how this case, which was created by SEALs and some of the officials, they trumped up charges against Mr. York because they did not like us as a people and a group and how we were advancing ourselves and Edenton in a time whereas they have a climate for KKK, Ku Klux Klansmen. They really don't have a like for people of color. And so we're not all black organization. We're not a religious organization. We are a people that live tribally, and we always have. And our family heritage is of African descent, and we practice our culture. So I just want to begin to just tell you a few things. The case was made up, and it was a mockery that came off of a movie that we later learned called The Indictment. And I have posted this on my Facebook before, and I will repost it, but I just wanted to give you an idea of what it was that happened and why they were so successful in making this case out to be what it was. In comparison, in the movie Indictment, you had defendants, which was 5 females and 1 male. In Mr. York's case, and his wife, Kathy Johnson, there was a comparison where there was a defendant, 4 females and 1 male. The police chief who rallied and stirred up the witnesses, which is the same as SEALs. SEALs was the one that rallied up and created the climate for this. Children had medical examinations, turned out inconclusive. That's the same thing with us. None of our children had been touched, and we showed that. The media frenzy caused public prejudice, and so they tainted the media. Media frenzy, public prejudice jeopardizes fair trial. So they did that. This is the same way it was set up in the movie Indictment. Ray was one of the main characters, had no prior felonies. Of course, Mr. York had no felonies. First of all, defendants were denied bond. First of all, the defendants in our case were denied bond. Second of all, the females received bond while the male, Buckley, in the movie was still incarcerated without a bond. And that's the same thing that happened with Mr. York. Second, all of the females received bond while the male, Reverend York, was still incarcerated without a bond. So this will go on, but if you go and actually review the movie, because I haven't seen the movie in quite some time, you will be able to make the comparisons as well. But I do want it to be noted that our children were kidnapped. There were men with bullet size, the vest and the, what do you call, the shields. There were the human shields, face masks, helicopters with missiles under the bottom, men that were coming down off of the helicopters, down a rope. It was very tragic. And I just want to begin to make sense out of it so that the public will understand what actually happened to us and how grateful I am to even be able to talk to you about it in details. And I will begin to just show you in increments how these things develop. The sheriff had a vendetta against Mr. York. And there were different entertainers that would come and visit our land, and it really became a really a very big thing, especially on that road, 404 Shady Dale, and it's adjacent to the Ritz-Carlton Hotel, Reynolds Plantation, which that's one of President Bush, the first Bush and the second. That's one of their places that they attend. And so I actually had a chance to see Seals and Bush together because I worked at the Ritz-Carlton at the particular time. And so it seemed like Seals was doing the bidding for someone else. I can't say exactly what his motives are, but he definitely had a vendetta against Mr. York. Inside of the Edenton Messenger, you had a Rob Peacher, who was the editor, and he was the writer. He actually followed Seals to court, and it appears that he wrote everything that Seals wanted him to write. And Seals, over a period of time, has become, several different, he wears several hats. So at one time he's the building inspector, at other times he's like the head chief over the newspaper. He really made sure he got in the way of us doing voters registration and things like that. We were always assaulted by roadblocks because many of us had to work, but we work outside of Putnam because there were no jobs there. So most of the jobs were in Atlanta, and he would follow us to work. And he personally followed me. I did. Our church had a property called Houston Square, which was right there, a couple of blocks from Martin Luther King Center and the Ebenezer Baptist Church. He followed me to work and would often take pictures of me, and he aimed his gun at me. So I have always been in fear of this man, and he was pursuing Mr. York because those apartments, the Houston Square, also known as wu-nuwaupu Gardens, was one of the properties that we as a tribe owned. So I just wanted in increments to tell you some of the things that we have gone through. He is well known. It is known that Mr. York is a diplomat, a Liberian citizen. It is well known that he is Chief Thunderbird Black Eagle, and we have documents and court documents to show that Seals knew exactly who Mr. York is and what he represented to us as our teacher and as our guide. He knew exactly what it was that he was doing. So this whole thing was pretty much a mockery of this movie called The Indictment. And there are plenty other things that I want to discuss with you. He just has used his authority and his badge as a weapon to what I would say is genocide, to a group of people. And so we did work with the Governor Barnes back in, I believe it was 98, 99, where we were able to get the flag to be, is no longer lawful for that flag to be flown because of what it represents. You know, we can go back in Georgia for the war between the North and the South, and you know, it has a lot of heritage for some, but it's a misrepresentation because to us it looks like something that is about hate, and we're not for hate. We want to, you know, we want to work um, with humanity. So these are just some of the things. These are some of my emotions. They are raw emotions. And also, mentioned earlier about how court for Mr. York was held on a federal holiday. So these are several things that we want to touch on, and we want to begin to make it make sense for the public, because I know that there's a lot of confusion and people misunderstand who we are and what we're about. And I just want to begin to show you in increments from week to week how we are going to be a very critical part to building economics for ourselves and for our people, how we want to aid in the prison ministries, also how we want to show that voting is very important and why it's important to get involved with your politicians, with your ministers, and we should work as a unit instead of individually. So these are some things that I want to share with you, and I will ask you to go to Miriam's Productions, look me up. You will also see me on Indiegogo.com. As a producer, I will be raising funds to do positive images for us as a people, for Nubian people, but not just Nubian people, for humanity, but starting with us. And so you'll be able to donate if you like, and I'll give an explanation for what the purpose is, what our intent is, and where we intend to go, and how you can all become a part, how you can help. So thank you for your time. I just want to thank you very much for your participation, for all those that signed the petitions for Mr. York's release. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for all that you've done to assist. And just Google, please, if you will. Is so many things you can you can watch on YouTube about Mr. York to see his good works. All right. So thank you very much, and Wadao.